Hey guys, it's me, Angie. I'm here in my art studio, and today I am going to talk about clay, polymer clay. So if you are like brand new to polymer claying and you're just kind of looking for what's gonna be best to use, my number one recommendation is gonna be Sculpey 3. I've heard that Michael's brand clay can be sort of comparable, but and maybe even stronger. However, this clay is really soft and has lots and lots of colors, and if you glaze it at the end, it's going to work out even better, or at least be more durable that way. Then this was the next step up that they made for Sculpey brand clay, Primo. And so I feel like Primo is very durable when it's baked, and it has some really pretty colors. For me personally, it's a little bit hard to work with. It's nice to work with a clay that's pretty soft right out of the gate. Sculpey 3 is like super bomb. It's what I use in my kits. It's what I've used in my classes. Sometimes, when I'm doing private lessons and teaching people more advanced techniques, we use the Primo or my most favorite, Sculpey Souffle. So this clay is not always as soft as Sculpey 3, and sometimes it's actually kind of softer in a sense, especially after you knead it a little bit. It just depends. If you're wondering why I'm not talking about any other clays, it's because I just decided to make this video and I don't buy any other kind of clay. I love Sculpey. And they're not paying me to say that. It's just, if they want to though, if you want to pay me to say that, that's cool. I love your clay, Sculpey. Alright, so yeah, Souffle is super awesome. Primo is really hard. The harder the clay, sometimes the more marks. This is also a lighter color, but I don't know if you can see. But where's the camera? There's just color showing up in here, and that was not like that. So here, this just came off the package. It's kind of a little bit brittle and kind of a little bit harder to get soft. So yeah, you can see there's just stuff showing up in there. So, and see how it's kind of making splits. It's kind of harder to keep together, this clay, as you're shaping it. But there's a lot of really great things about this clay, and it's extremely durable, especially if you're doing anything like sanding or carving in the clay after you bake it. This is a great one. But just for my purposes, building little figurines and stuff, not my favorite. One really cool thing about polymer clay is you can mix them together. So I often will mix Sculpey 3 with Primo to get a softer clay that's more sticky, and come up with even more colors that way too. So, and then here, this clay is just, you can even see by the way, in comparison to how the clay looks when you're pulling it off, this just, is very soft. So, one thing that I did this test where I just rolled 2 little balls of clay and stuck them together. So Sculpey 3 breaks pretty easily, and these are balls, so they're not gonna crack, and they're tiny. But I do have 2 stuck together, so I just wanted to see how hard it would be to sort of pop them apart. And they are stuck pretty good. Let's see if I even stick a tool in them, they pop apart. Here's the Primo. That's really stuck, I can tell also. It just shot across the room, hold on. Yeah, see, like, that's one thing that's really nice. I was able to make a little bit of a mark in there with this tool, but it's not splitting open. So that's one thing that's nice is Sculpey 3, when you're building something, like when I teach my classes or when I make things, I often put wire and liquid clay or a poly paste in there to act like a glue with these. So like just as an example, here's Bacon Bond by Sculpey. That works really good. This is like the most awesome magic thing ever, poly paste. This is by Kato. I don't like their clay, but I like this stuff. Kato clay poly paste. And it's very nice. So these two things are like, you know, sorry, I don't know which camera to use for anything. So, alright, so let's check out. Can't break it apart with my fingers, so none of them I could break apart with my fingers. And this one doesn't want to come apart very easily either. So Souffle is nicer because it's softer. This particular color, and maybe, you know, that's the other thing about polymer clays is the different colors all have different consistencies even within like one brand or type of clay. So Sculpey is the brand for all three of these, but you know, like, although most all of the Primo clays tend to be harder, some of them are softer, and same with Souffle, most of these tend to be softer, some of them are harder, and even within Sculpey 3, like in general, they're way softer than either of these other two, but some of the colors are a little bit harder. And then, of course, the longer they sit, they can become very hard. But typically, like, the shelf life of Sculpey, even if you leave the package open for any of these, is pretty long, like, maybe even like a year or two, I don't know. But, so that was my one little test. There are a lot of other tests you could make with clay, but this is just my tiny little review. I think if you're just starting out, Sculpey 3 is a bomb. If you want to try your hand with Primo, go for it. It's probably going to be very frustrating, and I would highly recommend getting some kind of pasta machine. You can see my face in there. Wow. Oh, okay. So then, yeah. And then Souffle is, it's maybe good for a beginner. What I do think is it's very responsive. So even though Sculpey 3 is soft, like it's still, I don't know the quite right word. It's like a medium response. Sculpey Souffle can be like high response. So by high response, I kind of talk about this a lot in this video, but it's hard to describe. This particular color of Souffle is really decent for that, but some of them are even softer and meltier. I think melty is a good word for it too. I'm just gonna pop these on, just to kind of test. And on one of these, I'm gonna just put a little bit of poly paste. Just the tiniest bit. Let me see how tiny a bit it is. And then to remember which one that is, I'm gonna give that one toenails. So toenails has the poly paste. There. You don't need so much. And that one, we'll just do one toenail. How about that? Then the back two don't have any. Putting the little elephant together. Use my little tool to make the end of the snout ready to hold some peanuts. It's not gonna matter though, because I'm just gonna tear them all apart later. Sorry, elephant. Squish those ears on, but not too much. I want to test how strong the clays bond to each other. What can happen with Souffle is, like, while you're working on it, it can kind of like melt together and like bend into different shapes a little bit easier than the other two. But this didn't do that a whole lot. But you can, well, you can kind of see, like, see how his legs, I don't know if you can tell, but his legs have gotten shorter. So he's kind of like, the clay is just a little more responsive. That's the best word I can think of. I don't know. I'm just making up technical clay terms, I guess. Seems like a good word. Alright. Gonna put together this little tentacle guy with the Sculpey 3. So making the little tentacles and popping them on. And then I'll do a couple test tentacles with the different paste here. I just want to see if there's any difference with this clay. I kind of don't think there will be, but maybe there will. So a little bit of poly paste. 1, 2, 3. Let's pop one of these off and get a little bit of the bacon bond from Sculpey in there. Squeeze it out of the top. I don't like to just put it directly on there because it comes out too much from the little squeeze bottle. You don't want tons on there, you just need a little bit. So I just want to see how these work in terms of bonding the clays together versus each other and versus the clay to itself. So I'm gonna pop these suckers in the oven. Okay, so these are baked. They're very hot. Oh, by the way, all of those kits, that was all Sculpey 3, like this guy. Really fun, easy to work with clay. My pieces that you saw, forgive me, but I am glazing them in a matte varnish. That is not what I'm using in the kits like that I send out. This says like 30% of people have an allergy to it, and I just don't feel comfortable sending that out. And I also like it to just look like the raw clay myself, so whatever, that's just how I'm doing it. Sometimes I make them shiny. Here is the Sculpey 3. These all just pop right off. Now here's the one that had the poly paste. It's still pretty warm, so it may be kind of an unfair time to try, but this one had the poly paste and this one had the Sculpey bacon bond. I just kind of want to see, yeah, the souffle. I could tear this off, I think, but it's way more attached. Yeah, it comes off a lot harder. And see how it's like peeling in the middle of the clay? It's not like breaking just where it touched. Same again here. It's like breaking elsewhere. These two back legs, they're a little more, but it's much more bonded just sticking without anything. So, sorry little guys, tearing you into pieces. It's pretty terrible. Alright, so this one is the bacon bond. Oh, that's pretty good. Can't really get it off. And this is the poly paste. Yeah, those are pretty strong, both of them. Let's see. Can still pull it off. The poly paste is pretty good. So, this is what I'm saying. Poly paste works really good with all the clay. I still think I can get it off. It's starting to come off. Yep, I got it. But I think this is still really hot. I'm just used to touching hot clay, so. But on the souffle, neither one of these are like wanting to come off. I feel like that would last longer if it was cooled down all the way. Yeah, still very, very hot. So there you go. I think if you were to have glazed this souffle or used this on all your attachments, or like when I do these, I would never do this without putting a little bit of wire and paste on every single thing. Obviously, like in my kits, we're not using the paste or whatever, but when you glaze at the end, there is wire in the kits, and when you put the glaze on at the end, that really like seeps into the pores of the clay. It like helps make it much more durable so that the pieces aren't going to come off. And also we do something called smoothing. So instead of just having the piece like stuck on, there's wire in there, and we smooth the edges so that it's much less likely to break. Obviously, it's still a fragile piece of masterpiece artwork. However, you know, that was all. I just kind of wanted to test those 3 Sculpey clays. And obviously, I didn't want to make anything with Primo because it's so hard. But you definitely can make a lot of really cool stuff with Primo clay. So here's my disembodied parts of stuff. If there's stuff you want me to like test out or, you know, give a demonstration of or whatever, just let me know and I'm super happy to do that. All right. Thank you. Have a great weekend.